Hey creators, Robo here and welcome to the 3000 subscribers special Q&A video. First off, we wanted to say just thank you guys so much again for all of the support that you've been able to give us to actually get us to this point. So, as a thanks, we asked the creators if they had any questions that they wanted to ask us. And you guys delivered! So, here are some of the inquiries that you guys had. First question we had was from our good friend Robstar. They asked, what is your favorite amiibo that you made this year or just in general? This is kinda hard to choose since with each project I get a little bit better and better. And some of the projects show off different parts better than others. So let's just do a few. Also, spoilers for a few upcoming videos. For my latest and the amiibo I'm most proud of for the consistency of the paint job, plus how I actually got all of the pieces to fit together, I really like this Octobot L3GS Mega Amiibo. For the one that uses a lot more gradients and textures in the painting, I really like my Isopadre Amiibo. The most accurate one would be, for the 3D printed ones, the Captain Cuttlefish Amiibo, and for the customized ones would be my Captain 3 Amiibo. And lastly, for the most detailed paint job, it's gotta be this Raru Amiibo that I also recently finished. The texture that I was able to get on the rocks, plus all of the little tiny details that I've been able to paint on it, plus a little bit of shadow work, although I still need to work on that since I haven't been able to do that much with the shell shading of Splatoon. I really like how this came out. Next one is from Toastermaster1. They asked, would you ever consider opening an online store to sell some of the amiibos you make? We're actually already doing that. Or, kind of. We don't have a website yet. That's just something that's a little hard to do with our limited time and to actually find 7 consecutive days to work on it, since Squarespace only allows you to preview, I think it was 7 or 14 days to work on your website before you have to start paying. Back on subject, we're actually already doing commissions for custom amiibos. Here, people can DM us via Twitter DMs or on Discord. Then they can tell us what they actually want us to make, and we help them choose a different tier of customization that will fit their project best. Because if they just want a repaint, or that's gonna be a lot cheaper than a whole personalized amiibo. Because this will then tell them what it's gonna cost, and once they agree with the terms of the project, we can then start to prep the project by either ordering the amiibo that they want to use as a base, or we can start to collect the 3D models to resin print. And then we start on the commission. What made you start doing Splatoon crafts and cosplay? Was asked by Jet. There wasn't really a point where I started to do it, because I was always doing this kind of stuff. To when I was 6 years old and a huge fan of the LEGO Ninjago series, where I made the golden weapons together with my father from NDF, besides the whole playing with LEGO and creating stuff with that whole aspect. Then in grade school I really got into Skylanders. There they also had themed variants of some of the characters and I just started to paint my own. Inspired by lots of custom figurines creators on YouTube, I just started to make my own. Especially when they released Skylanders Superchargers, where they had a character and a matching vehicle. There I can still vividly remember that I painted an Eastern version of one of the vehicles called Buzzwing to match his egg-themed driver. Still, I'm still kinda mad that they always only did one of the two, like, why not both? But back to the point. Once Splatoon released, in between the Skylanders games, I really got into that, and I did my first custom Splatoon amiibo with a blue Inkling Girl amiibo, to match this Splatoon diorama that I made for my figures. And when Skylanders stopped a few years later, I really got into Splatoon 2 and started doing more projects like the weapon props and the custom amiibos, and I did that so much that I started to make a YouTube channel. Whatever. I also forgot to mention it, but for the cosplay side, with Skylanders Imaginators, That was at the end of my time at grade school, where I had such good contact with the arts and crafts teacher, I got to use the workshop at school in my free time. So I made a weapon of one of my favorite characters back then, Robo. Which, yeah, is also where I got the name Roboy from. Then I made this crystal sword from one of the other characters. Then I made this mask, and I then kept making pieces until I just had the full suit. And that was then also done for Robo, and I could just continue doing that for more and more Skylanders. And this was then also naturally picked up once I really got into the Splatoon series and started to hyper-focus on that full time. This is then probably also a good time to tackle Agent_H's question, since they were curious about how did we actually find Splatoon? As in, how did we find out what Splatoon is and started playing it? It's still a little bit fuzzy since it has been, wait, let's see, more than 9 years ago. Oh, dang, I'm old. Oh. I think at the time I was just scrolling through YouTube, watching Skylanders videos and playthroughs of all kinds of Nintendo games, when I just stumbled upon the first preview trailer of the game, and I really liked it. The bright colors and the interesting gameplay made me really interested in the game from the jump, because I was actually planning on looking for a shooter game to try out once, but I wasn't really interested in like Call of Duty and that kind of stuff, so the way Splatoon veered off from that and had its own style and wasn't as just kill as much people as possible, I really like that. And so, as soon as news came out that the game was pre-orderable, I immediately dragged my dad to help me get my own copy. And as soon as it was released worldwide, I started playing it and loving the game from the jump. As my family can confirm with the late nights that I will make, even as a 13 to 14-year-old. And with each edition of the game, I would be there first day to get it. Like with Splatoon 2, I actually had the problem that we were going on vacation the same day that the game would come out. So I made a deal with my parents that on the way we would stop at a local city so I can actually buy the game. And that all worked out, and I played the single player like the whole way to our camping spot in France. Although I think after that they kind of regretted that decision pretty fast, as I would hang around the Wi-Fi spot at the camping all weekend long when we had the first cake versus ice cream Splatfest when we were still there. Oopsie. Now Ninja Panda wants to know, what is the project that you're most proud of out of any of the projects we did? The project I'm still most proud of is the Sockeye Station diorama that we made for our Salmon Run customs. Since Salmon Run is one of the limited places where they actually use more realistic textures in Splatoon, it's one of the fewer places where I could use some more professional painting techniques, especially the dry brushing on the beach with the sand and the muds, plus the whole size of the thing and the consistency of the details and the finishing that I was able to put into the diorama. Not even talking about the EL wire that I used for those amazing neon-like signs, and the rest of the electronics, like the whole rotating fish stick. Even though I got that one part wrong, where I made stairs instead of the series of rising platforms, I'm still most proud of that project. Especially with all of the Salmon Run amiibos in their own little spots around the diorama. Next up is Sophia with, how did you come up with Pneuma's name? Also, I still have no idea how to pronounce her name, so please help! Pneuma's name actually comes from a whole nother game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Spoilers for that game, so if you want to play the story or watch the 16+ hours of cutscenes here on YouTube, you can skip to the timestamp below. But now, at the end of that game, you get introduced to the final form of one of the main characters, Pyra/Mithra, or now /Muna. Since, as mentioned, I was already 16 hours into watching the story.
Sure, you're ready!
The final really emotional moments of the game really got to me and made Muna stick in my memory. So once I actually started to make my own videos for the channel, plus the whole fact that I got inspired by Bridget from Fantastic with the whole co-host idea, I added Pneuma to spice up the videos. To not have it just be me talking you guys' ears off about each step in the process and to spice it up a little bit. And hopefully with how many times I've now mentioned her name, I think you also get how to pronounce it. In essence, the P in her name is just about silent, but you still want to include just a little bit of it. So it's not Pneuma, but it's Pneuma. Pneuma. Next, we've got Octocraft's question with, if you had the time, would you try streaming on Twitch with a 3D Vtuber model of Roboy? I definitely want to see if I can start doing some streaming on the channel sometime in the future. I would love to see if I can stream stuff like playing Splatoon or other games, making the 3D models and other stuff on my PC, and even doing some custom amiibo painting live on stream. It's not gonna be as quick and as exciting as the videos, but I still think it can be really cool. Especially with the whole direct contact with the viewers. Even though I was terrified each time I went live the last few times that I did live streams, it's still something that I want to keep working on to actually get it off the ground. Since I would love to be able to also collab with other Splatoon creators. Since the physical things that we do don't always translate as well to something we can actually work on together. And especially since at the start of February I will also be finishing up my college again, thus I do not have my full time anymore to work on stuff like the YouTube channel. So it does seem like a really good thing to invest in. I can actually work on the projects, and I can entertain you guys with more content, and at the third point, I'm also directly recording stuff, so it's a win-win. And if I do go for it, it definitely has to be with a Vtuber model, since I'm a huge fan of the genre myself. I would love to be able to implement it into the channel for both streaming and also the intros and outros of my regular videos. And I did have a model for a little while, but the program I used now does not work anymore. So while I get that going again, I would also need to look for either a 2D or a 3D Vtuber setup. So if you guys might know anyone that might be able to make Roboy into a 2D or 3D Vtuber, please comment down below, because I would love to be able to get this going as soon as possible. But if you do want to see some of the streaming ideas before they are officially introduced on the channel, you can also join the WVD Discord server, because there we will be doing some trial streams before we actually go live with the stuff. And speaking of Rena herself asked us... Oh no. Does Muna like cheese? Well, Muna. Well, there you go. There you have it, Rena. Well, back to some more fitting questions, with Mohawk's question. Have you ever thought about using an RVC's Splatoon model to make Muna really say the lines, instead of just using Splatoon sound effects? It would maybe take a lot of time since it asks for more work to do, but it would be really cool in my opinion, since your videos are really well made. Aw, thank you! And there have actually been a few moments where we thought about doing that for some of the videos, but that's another case of I sadly do not have the time or the ready knowledge for it to get that going soon enough to make it worth it. So again, unless you guys have a program that you would recommend for me that I can use as a jumping off point, I don't think we'll be able to make that work anytime soon. Now that I think about it, it would be a cool feature that we can make into a TTS function if we're gonna do streaming too. On another, more normal note, we have another banger from Neo with who's your favorite shopkeeper from all of the Splatoon games? Do we even need to say it? Actually, Harmony is our favorite. It's the next one on the list, Muna, chill. But yeah, my top 3 would probably be first Harmony, then Sheldon, and it would be Spike, but if he doesn't count, we would go for either Annie or Flo. I just really like their design, although I don't really care for Annie's golf makeover that they got with the DLC. Good that she got some more confidence, but I liked her original design better. Or that might just be nostalgia talking, I don't know. Next up is Marionette with when will you make another weapon replica? The last one was a year ago, very sad. Oh, that's a good joke. It definitely hasn't been more than a year. Oh, fuck, it really has been more than a year. Yep, it definitely has been way too long. Oh my... Oh, great sapfish. So, let's see. We had a request for an E-liter, Dark Tetradualies. We already had a splatter shot that was requested in the comments. A range blaster. Yeah, I think a Splatoon 3 range blaster would be cool. Especially since our Grim range blaster that we made years ago is kind of falling apart. So probably a good time to make a new one with the new skills that we learned throughout the years. But Marinette, did you have anything else you would like to see us make?
Sure.
Then the last 2 are from YouTube, with the first one being from Boombox4037 asking, what inspired you to start creating amiibos? As we stated with Just Question, it kinda just transitioned from our Skylanders time and our natural drive for creativity. The ability to use our creativity on stuff that we really like is something I just get a lot of enjoyment out of. Weird to think that the fact that our first ever Splatoon custom amiibo was only because we accidentally made the diorama for the original colors. And then we could only get the purple Inkling boy and the green Inkling girl where I live. So that's actually why I changed the girl amiibo to still make it fit within the colors of the diorama. Yep. What a wild ride. And it's not done yet. And lastly, we've got hyper_washing_machine with how do you know what materials to use for your projects? Ooh, a technical question. I like it. But I wish I could just say, yeah, just go to this website and enter in what you want to make and it spits out the answers for you. But sadly, that's not the case. It all comes down to experience and experimentation. In all the years I've been doing this, I've gotten the chance to work with so many different materials and also exposed myself to many others via creators on YouTube that have shown themselves working with other amazing materials. All of this information, most of it, I've memorized for their attributes. Stuff like how easy it is to work with, how easy is it to get, how strong it is it flexible or can you at least curve it, how easy does it melt, can you glue it, does it react with anything else, can paint even stick to it? And this way I can think back to these bits of knowledge while I'm working on figuring out a weapon prop, a diorama or a cosplay. Then per piece I look at how is it curving, what color does it need to be, how important it is to the overall design, so how nice does the finish need to be, etc, etc. And using all of that, I go through my knowledge of materials and try to choose one that fits the most categories the best. Pneuma, that's not true! And here we are, at the end of the 3K special. Again, thank you guys so much for all the support. And let's keep going with this amazing community we all built together to 4,000 subscribers and beyond. But with that, we will leave you with the same chant as always. Keep those creative gears turning, and we will see you guys in our next video.